Assalamu alaikum, everyone. So why choose Define as your Sunday school? What makes it different? So life is a journey, life is a marathon, and we're going to come across a lot of obstacles, right? How we meet those obstacles and how we face those challenges is what's going to determine the level of our success. So we all know this, that when we love something, it becomes easier for us to do, right? When we have really positive feelings about something, it's easier for us to take on this goal or challenge. When we hate something or when we're disgusted by something, it becomes easier for us to stay away from it or protect ourselves from it, right? Just like that, we learn that emotions are powerful. We learn that emotions are a creation of Allah, and given that time to get to know them and given that time to understand them, and we'll ultimately be able to control our emotions as well. They can be powerful factor, like powerful drivers for us. So I have this picture of a dashboard here. When the check engine light goes off in a car, we know that something's wrong. We need to check it. Just like this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us emotions. So when we are feeling certain things, it's kind of like, hey, something's going wrong, or something needs to be taken care of, or hey, my boundaries are being crossed. And then we can work out what to do next. At Define, we are a school that teaches us to recognize those emotions, not just in ourselves, but also others around us. We learn from this very powerful dua, or cognitive reframing, as I love to put duas are. We learn from this dua, Allahumma habib ilayna al-iman, wa zayyinhu fi qulubina, wa qarrih ilayna al-kufra wal-fusuqa wal-isyan, wa ja'alna mina rashidin. So what we learn from this dua is that we're asking Allah, oh Allah, make beloved for us faith. Make beloved for us faith. Why? So it becomes easier for us to be believers. Oh Allah, and make hated for us disbelief, wickedness, and disobedience. Why? So that it's easier for us to stay away from these things. And وَجَعَلْنَا مِنَ الرَّاشِدِينَ, make us of those who are rightly guided. The call for rushd, particularly in this dua, we're not just asking for guidance like huda, or there are different forms of the word guidance. What we're asking for is rushd. Rushd is a special form of guidance. We're asking for guidance in our actions. So when we have guidance in our actions, it is by that love, it is by that hate, so when we love something, where it's easy for us to put into actions. When we hate something, it's easy for us to stay away from something, right? And we know that knowledge is of many different types. Knowledge can come in just the form of data, like, okay, you can know something, like, okay, that is a bike, that is a tire. Or you can understand that, hey, this is how a bike works, but not until you get on it and ride it will you really know what bike riding is, or a bike really is, right? Not until you go and experience it does it become part of that visceral memory, that muscle memory. You have to practice and you have to put forward effort. And this is something that we work with in Define. Okay, I put the slide in there because it was funny. It kind of tells you all the differences between the kinds of information. So inshallah, we're going for wisdom here. So at Define, we're going to combine all three of these aspects, which is number one, the emotional intelligence, being self-aware and being aware of others. And not just that, but the aspect of experiential knowledge with all of our project-based learning, and of course the Islamic knowledge. And that is combining those three things. That's where Define takes its place. So some of the things that your kids will learn in the very first month here at Define will be things like grit and neuroplasticity. These are concepts that we learn in psychology, and it is something that we're able to incorporate and teach. For example, grit is that concept of when we want to achieve our goals, it takes a growth mindset. We're not stuck in one place, or at least it takes practice and perseverance and trying over and over and never giving up. Like the great prophets, ulul a'zam, right? Adam is grit. And then you have the concept of neuroplasticity, which says that the brain is moldable. It's something that is not, we have this old concept that says that when we get old, they get set in their ways. No, that's not true. Actually, at every age, we are able to learn and create new connections in the brain, and we are able to learn new things. So we are always in a state of growth. So these are two concepts that we'll learn about, inshallah, in Define in the first month. And we teach it like this, we are not born people of Jannah, but we can absolutely work and be made people of Jannah with that practice, with that perseverance. And another aspect, I guess I wanted to highlight for us this year is a class that Coach Mona is going to be teaching, which is on experiential learning. So what she does in her class is really combining that mind, body, and soul. So not only will we be learning about health and about physical education, but also breathing techniques, coping mechanisms, really bringing in that emotional awareness. Well, what does anger feel like for me? What does happiness feel like? What does it feel like when I am, feeling shy? Just understanding and having that experience and knowing yourself, right? So emotional awareness to emotional regulation, and being aware of your emotions. Number one, it's also fosters empathy. If you can feel it in yourself, you'll be able to notice it in others. So emotional regulation and learning about, at the very end, we want to talk about Islamic the model of the Islamic psyche. So not only are we learning that we are a body, but we're also learning that we are a soul. And having kids experience, having kids experience the soul and really figuring out that, hey, there's this thing inside of me. This is a form of knowledge that it's beautiful to be able to teach early on. Learning the Islamic concept that not only is there my body, but there's a soul. Within my soul, there is this thing called an intellect. That's where I am making all of my rational decisions. And I also have something called a nafs and all the differences between that as well. So yeah, that is what we are teaching at Define, inshallah. And Jazakallah khair for visiting us and joining us. And for those of you who are already part of our family, we will be seeing you on September the 12th, I believe, inshallah. See you guys soon. Jazakallah khair. So some of the things that we will be covering in Define for this year. So this is kind of our themes. We've broken it up into mindfulness of the self. So learning about the self and our relationship with Allah. And then mindfulness of humanity, so turning it outward and, seeing how does everyone else fit in. And then we're going to talk about Allah's creation, who is the creator, first of all, and then the creation. And then, I cannot see here. So December is about self-care. And let me actually show you some of the others in detail. So again, September, we're going to cover topics like origin, purpose, neuroplasticity, all of our emotions, things like the 5 pillars, who is Allah, right? And then in the future, kindness, gratitude, akhlaq to family, how do we deal with our friends versus, non-Muslims, Muslims, bullies, mindfulness of the earth, and really understanding things like, taking care of our earth, that role of Khalifa that we have, taking care of our resources, the 6 pillars of faith, along with, especially the Day of Judgment. I know my class loves that when we talk about it. Also being human, allowing ourselves time, Inshallah, we're going to be planning a reflective kind of field trip about winter, and understanding that, even the trees need a break. So, and really experiencing that. It's inshallah, that's going to be exciting. We're also going to be talking about grit and self-evaluation, muhaseba, right? We're also going to be talking about cognitive distortions, all the ways our minds play tricks on us, right? And we're going to talk about the human psyche, the Islamic model. We're going to learn about some of the names of Allah, and not just learn about what they mean, but how do they show up in our lives? How can we really live those names and feel them? And inshallah, in Ramadan, we're going to have some Ramadan themed sessions. So yeah, looking forward to seeing you all on September 12th. See you soon.
Now,